Hi there, that's right. This is Nick broadcasting to you on the Get Me Off Grid video blog, which is a fundraising blog to help me to get completely and utterly off grid. Now, I had a little blog TV session last night. For those of you who don't know, blog TV is a system whereby you can broadcast live via your webcam to your audience. And what I discussed with some of the members of my audience was more about green technology and basically what's going on and why I'm doing this. Not only for myself, but also for other people. This is something I feel very strong and very passionate about, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. I do believe that the time for dilettantic or hobbyist green technology is basically completely and utterly over. We know what's coming down the line for all of us as a species, and there are people out there who will want to find ways of trying to save money and live in a more economical way, as well as just to be able to maintain a certain quality of life when basically they're not doing all that well for themselves. You know, we do have a global recession on at the moment. That's part of the motivation, but that's not necessarily the whole thing. There is a need to try and change hearts and minds on this particular subject. Now, if you go onto the internet and you search for, let's say, videos put up within the past month on the subjects of green energy, you will come up with an awful lot of scams. There are things called magnet motors that people are selling plans for, and obviously it shows you that the skill of the salesman is still just as well used these days as it always has been throughout the whole history of humanity, and there's just as much snake oil salespeople out there now as there always have been throughout the whole history of humanity. They're selling solutions, they're selling the idea that you've got a problem and you want to sell on your energy bills, but unfortunately the thing that they're selling is something which doesn't damn well work at all. Okay, it can't provide you with your energy needs. It is a scam. And there's an awful lot more out there. I mean, let's just provide another hypothetical example. The HHO run your car on water systems. These things take energy from the alternator of the car, okay? And the energy from the alternator of the car is being generated through the combustion of fuel. So essentially what's really happening there? Well, essentially more fuel is being used. Now, essentially these devices would only work well, in my humble opinion, if the energy was taken from the heat differential between the outer world and, of course, the exhaust pipe. But even if that was done with a thermoelectric generating device to generate enough electricity to be able to run a hydrogen generator to inject the HHO straight into the carburetor of the car or whatever part of the engine that's required, that would still mean that you get much more condensates on your exhaust pipe, and your exhaust pipe would need cleaning. So there's always problems with an awful lot of these various quixotic things which are well sold, and I mean very well sold, because like people are falling for these things left, right and centre. There's a massive misinformation industry out there for allegedly green technology, and this is something which has got to be basically cut back on. Alright, so essentially someone needs to go out there and actually live in a full and complete off-grid lifestyle and to show all the pitfalls. There are reasons why you use solid fuel in the dead of the winter. There are reasons why you can use liquid fuel in the spring and in the autumn. There's reasons why you would only use fuel in the form of solid or liquid in the summer, okay, apart from, for cooking and for very little else. There's reasons why you've got to plan carefully the things you're going to be growing. There's reasons that you've got to plan your day-to-day lifestyle so that you can go out and collect twigs for your wood gas stoves. There's reasons that you've got to do all these different things. There's lots of different dimensions to how to basically go completely and utterly off-grid. And on top of that, I'm trying to do this in the most affordable way possible. Now, you'll notice that I've set up an impossible target, an impossible financial target. If you go down to the link below, I said £1 million. Now that will not be achievable, and I know it will not be achievable. I just wanted to type in a big figure. That's not my target. My target is to get enough to be able to do what I want to do. Once I've got the land in place, then basically all I need is a glorified garden shed. Okay, something called a log cabin. Right, and that's all they are, just glorified sheds. And they've got just enough room inside them for you to be able to live, have a bathroom, an area where you can work and so on and so forth, and maybe a balcony at the front. Alright, and that's basically all that's required. You angle it well so you can take best advantage of water in the form of rain, and also solar in terms of the angle and positioning of the roof, and basically you're fit to go. Basically that's all that you require. And you can then build the other buildings, such as the wood gas kitchen I mentioned on a previous video, from bricks and other parts of the land which will be external to the main wooden structure. Alright, everything being done either using reclaimed reclaimed materials, second-hand or stuff which is being used, or basically as affordably as is humanly possible. There's a reason why I showed you this in a previous video. This is just a tin can with some holes drilled in it in very well positioned places. This is one of the most basic wood gasifier stoves that you can create. It's a single wall gasifier, as you can see, and it's ideal for wood pellets because of its size. Okay, I've spent a lot of my time, my energy, and essentially my money experimenting to work out what size base you need and what quantity of airflow you need underneath if you're using sticks that you've collected when you're out on a walk, rather than using wood pellets. Wood pellets, as I'm sure you know by now, have a calorific value very near to that of coal. That's why wood pellets are so important. I'm also going to be talking about the creation of your own wood pellets from any form of paper or waste paper or junk mail that you may be collecting, and basically the feasibility of that. Okay, all these things I will be demonstrating and I will be showing through myself actually going out there and doing it. Alright, this is the only way in which we can combat the scams about green energy or save money on your fuel bills which are out there, to show people how it can be done really. And yes, if you wanted to live with precisely the same quantity of lifestyle or quality of lifestyle that you've got right now, alright, in your home in which you're paying your own fuel bills, but completely off grid, that would cost a fortune. I'm not doing it in the most expensive way possible. I'm thinking of getting like reclaimed or second-hand solar panels or solar cells and creating the panels myself. When I was in school, when I was in just the early days of secondary school, I did a project for class, and that was to create a solar panel, and that's what I did. Alright, and I used my own time, energy and money to be able to make the thing by myself, so I could basically learn some of the basic skills which are required in creating everything, including using diode protection, so essentially the power from the batteries doesn't leak back into the panels, and doing all this from scratch using very cheap components. And I will be demonstrating how to do each and every single stage, and I'll also be able to show you basically once the project is done, once I've got the land, once I've got the inverted commas self-built house, which will not be a whopping great mansion and will basically be a glorified garden shed. Okay, cheap technology. Alright, I'll be showing you the pitfalls. I'll be able to say, well, today, okay, it hasn't rained enough, we haven't had enough solar, this is what I'm doing to redress the balance so I can still be able to use my energy efficiently. This is what I'm going to do to be able to provide myself with a bit extra energy that I've saved up, let's say using even a hydroelectric system. People haven't actually talked about that in a totally environmentally friendly setup before. But you can do that essentially with two large water baths, one raised up, one lower. You get a Templeton, I think it's Templeton or Pelton water wheel in between the two of them. You have a small electric pump in the bottom one, okay, and you just have the tube going up to the top one. You don't need all that much wattage. You have a separate solar panel system which is designed when the sun is shining to pump the water to the top. And essentially, if you need a bit of extra wattage, let's say you need an extra 30 watts worth of power to be able to power something, you're looking at your meters, you can see how much you've got a power tool you want to operate, you've got some wind on that day but not necessarily the maximum you want. You've got some solar, but you're not quite generating enough power. You can just turn on the tap, and essentially the water will flow through the system, and that will boost the quantity of wattage you've got in your entire system, so that you can then use the power tools that you require. People don't discuss this, alright? How to actually store extra energy for use later on. People don't discuss how to store gas, how to prepare gas yourself, alright, for the actual practicalities of getting completely and utterly off grid. But this is what I'm going to be doing and demonstrating. I actually want to be able to fight against the cons which are going out there. I really do. And if you were to use hydrogen, precisely how would you use it? In what particular way would you use hydrogen? And what on earth would you do with the water? Because the water contains an awful lot of contaminants once you'd be doing electrolysis with 316 grade L stainless steel. All these things have to be discussed and put into perspective. And this is what I'm going to be doing. Alright, and actually through going out there and doing it, it is worth your money, because essentially if you provide a donation to the link below, obviously subscribe to the channel as well, if you provide a donation to the link below, then that money will be going towards the project, and the project will be teaching other people precisely how this is going to be done and how it can be done. And there will be aspects of the whole thing which you'll be able to incorporate into your lifestyle somehow. Okay, there's even ways in which you can use your windows to either generate heat or to assist with the growing of plants, and so many other things. Alright, so even if you're living in a flat, there's going to be something which I'm going to be able to provide you with, which will teach you how to basically help yourself out. Alright, it's all serious stuff. We all need to save money. We all need to do something for the environment. We all need to reduce our dependence upon the world. And we can do it. And I can teach you how. But it's going to take your help.